excuse me, to Singularity, and then Vivi's took it straight to Nepal, where they were able to beat them out. So we'll see if they can actually continue that to try and keep their tournament hopes alive here. What are we looking out for here in particular on Nepal, ZP?
Well, you take a look at both teams. I mean, I think both teams will be playing this relatively standard. We haven't seen too many teams come out with anything too crazy here in Nepal. I mean, there is always a possibility that when you go in the Sanctum that we might see some Reaper. And actually, you take a look at this here, you have Singularity teasing us with the idea of Reaper right now. So I'm definitely down to see this. I want to see teams experiment more with Reaper, of course, recently changed in the last patch. Who knows where he's going to go? Teams sometimes are a little bit slow to adapt the changes, but in this case, not quite going to see it here.
Yeah, if we had that old Reaper, Zarya, Lucio combo, right? Speed boost in, give him the shield, and then just go ahead and go for that Death Blossom. But the Bastion's coming out for Singularity.
Okay, then. Just when you think that you're not going to see Sig anything crazy, Craggy, not content to shower through the Tracer play, coming out here on everyone's favorite Bastion. You don't see it all that often here, but there was a point where teams played this on the stage here relatively often, Jamerson, and it's clearly caught Vivi's a bit off guard.
Yeah, it harkens back to the old C9 days. Now, one of the more interesting things about Bastion is that he has such a large clip size once he goes into that sentry mode that the D.Va, her defense matrix is just going to go up, right? Usually you can find that window of opportunity where you can put down the defense matrix just for a little bit to maybe recharge a little bit while the enemy is reloading, but they're not afforded that option.
It is a double-edged sword, though. I mean, when you know the Bastion is there and it's not a, wait, why is there a Bastion here? What did I queue into a pub game by mistake? No, D.Va can neutralize it pretty well, so we'll see how Singularity goes here on the second push, where oftentimes, if you run this as a surprise, you can get a freebie. Well, it's no longer a freebie. Vivi's knows that the Bastion is here, and let's just see where Henzu goes, where you gotta think he's gonna dive right onto Craggy.
Yeah, he jumps on in, but he's got the defense matrix, and so far there is the nano boost onto Craggy that lets him melt. Zakor there now pushes on to the point. He's got that repair to keep him alive, and the defense matrix is on him right now, as the Primal Rage has come out from Vivi's Adventure along with the Transcendence.
Protect the President in full effect. Well, he has just gone down. Craggy finally going to fall, but not without getting his pound of flesh. He grabbed the entirety of the attention of Vivi's, going in there, and Singularity was able to protect him well as they clean up. Again, I don't know if they need to throw the Graviton in there towards the very end, but hey, it worked out. They get the fight. They're at 53%, and really now they're only 2 fights away, and they have tank mode up for the next fight, Jamerson, which it's easy to underestimate, but that is actually a very scary ultimate.
Yeah, the truest, the only tank, real tank in the game. It is going to be Bastion, and he's just doing on the high ground here, which we see, look, once you do actually cap the point, it's the position you hold in. Once again, they go on in. We've got the tank mode coming out.
And that tank mode immediately bopping people back. They're lucky to get into the building for cover. But while they do that, Singularity has the run of everything. It still ends up with 2 kills here for Craggy. And this robot play coming in from Singularities, surprising us here on the caster end, but clearly throwing Vivi's for a loop as they only have 1 attempt now to bring this back, Jamerson.
This is the scary part. Lind, he's got that nano boost. It's going to go on to Craggy. Like, who else is it going to go on to? He's already melting through the entirety of the Vivi's Adventure lineup. Now 97% as Moonwadi just tries his best to get onto the point. He's going to face off against the Lucio right now, but he immediately gets converged on. How terrifying is that?
Well, he gets it back out. He did draw a lot of attention. This could be a good engage. Vivi's coming in from the other side. The sound barrier is out. Craggy, though, still very much alive. And the nano boost allowing him to tear through the opposition. D.Va sacrificing her body, sacrificing her mech to go in there. Futile, though, as Singularity able to hold on to this point. There was no answer for the Bastion coming out from Vivi's this day.
How often do you really get to scrim against that? Not quite often. And one of the more terrifying thing is that it draws so much attention that a lot of people forgot about Mandatrosser. He was on that Zarya, and he was actually putting in a lot of work.
Well, that's the key thing when you have a Bastion there. The reason why they're running the Zarya is that you're able to give shields. Historically, when people did run Bastion in the past, you would also support the Bastion with the Mercy. So you have this multi-layered defense where, oh, the Bastion goes down, we just res him back up. You're trying to get in on the Bastion, we shield him. And in this case, he was well protected where, sure, he has a D.Va in his face, but the rest of his team is there and plenty of room to work with there for Craggy. And unfortunately, if you're a fan of Bastion, it does not look like we'll be getting a repeat as we move in here to the Sanctum.
Yeah, so Craggy's this time going to be on Soldier 76 as we move on to Sanctum. It looks like they are going to stick with this triple tank composition coming out from Singularity. Now they are just 2 points away from taking this map. High ground. It's going to be contested so far, but Craggy just trying to zone out this Tracer.
I just think Vivi's right now is just happy. It's like, all right, we don't have to worry about the Bastion anymore, because it just in the round after, they're just like, wait, are they still running it? Is it still there? Is the nightmare over? It's like, well, maybe not. As Elevote going to take a snooze, and this is going to let Singularity just deep dive in. They don't have to worry about the Soldier, and they clean up here once more, where Singularity so far has looked very impressive.
Yeah, the nice thing was Craggy was just playing on that right-hand side flank, making sure that Moonwadi couldn't get in at all. So they didn't have to worry about that Tracer threat. The way that they have to approach this team fight, they have to just go straight forward across the bridge. Take a look at this Vivi's Adventure just getting caught out. That's 2 members down. That's going to force them back once more.
Well, we were talking going into this map that this is where Vivi's need to reclaim some momentum, but it could be the opposite here, Jamerson, where Vivi's has been struggling to get any ground here whatsoever. This has been tough and then some, and you want to talk about building momentum. When the first round goes away because of Bastion, and the second round you're struggling to figure out how to come in, this is tough. And look at Craggy looking for the Tracer. Is it going to delete? And it does. Moonwadi goes down to a beautiful Helix rocket.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we were talking about, right? Earlier before, he was doing this exact same thing, just zoning them out, but we do have some trades coming on over. But once again, Craggy has been playing so safe. There's been no pressure applied to him whatsoever. He almost got booed there, but there we go. He's going to be able to clean them up, and now they're forcing out so many swaps on the side of Vivi's Adventure that they don't look really comfortable either. Take a look. Elevote, he swapped on over to the Zarya. He's only got 25% towards his charge.
Indeed, and this is just a replay looking at here, the full story, as you will. Crouching something, hidden soldier. I don't even know. Crouching soldier, hidden Tracer. Let's go with that.
Definitely hidden 6 feet under at that point. Now Craggy, he's got the right-hand flick. He pushes forward. He's got the nano blade, or excuse me, the nano boost. And now that tactical visor does get largely eaten up, but they will be able to kite backwards on the side of Vivi's Adventure. Apox, though, while he was retreating, able to get that kill onto Nerf.
He is able to come back in, and they do have the Transcendence, so I think they're going to double down here. Apox, at the first sign danger, will Transcend, but this is really good for them. They don't have to use the Transcendence because of the last few kills going their way. Singularity not able to apply the pressure they were looking for, but it's sort of tempered good news, where yes, they have Transcendence for the next fight, but they have to play the ult economy game very intelligently here, because there will be a point where they're going to be at disadvantage, including arguably this next fight.
There's the self-destruct Big Bang combo coming up so far. Mandatracer, he's got that Graviton Surge. Nerf is going to lead the charge in this fight for Singularity. He jumps on in, and now Manda, he's at 70 charge right now. He's just melting through to Vivi's Adventure. We do have the Transcendence coming up from a fog, and Henzu comes in with the blade. He picks up 2. He's looking for a 3rd.
Well, he was looking for a 3rd, but he's going to get 4. He's out for blood, and Soldier just barely going to get away. Henzu, though, has gotten his pound of flesh and then some. I mean, really, it was a yard sale, to say the least. And this is something that Vivi's desperately needed to get back into this game, and yet the work is just beginning. Both Zaryas with Graviton, so both teams might get very intimately acquainted with their neighbors, but it's going to be Elevote coming in. The Graviton to the back, setting up Henzu and the Big Bang. Goodbye and good night. But here's the problem here, Jamerson. We were talking about ult economy. Singularity now has a perfect window to come back and win this game.
Oh yeah, they've got 5 ready. Kelix could work his way towards that sound barrier, but I mean, there's really nothing offensive coming up from Vivi's Adventure for them to really worry about, so he can take his time building it up right now as they do push forward.
Indeed, and here comes the Graviton, lobbed in by Mande, gonna be pulled in 3. The sound barrier, trying to keep Vivi's alive. The self-destruct not quite on point, but Vivi's able to hold on a bit here. They're able to trade that out 5 versus 5. They're still at a big disadvantage in power in this fight, but look at this. The Winston in the back trying to deal with Craggy and does. So Vivi's a little bit wounded here, but not out of it yet. They're in overtime. We'll see if they can keep flooding onto the point, but now it's starting to look a little bit rough.
Lil Sish almost got knocked out by the Primal Rage, and Nerf almost jumped to his death, but they will be able to clean him up. He had no backup as Zakor trying his last-ditch effort to get onto the point, but now Singularity 1 point away from taking map number 2, ZP.
This has been tough for Vivi's. They at least showed signs of life towards the end, where we talked a little bit in the pregame where they would need Henzu to have some good moments. Well, he had a big moment there. He probably secured himself play of the game, which doesn't amount to anything aside from a moral victory. But they have a ways to go here, and even in this map alone, they're going to have to reverse sweep. So it's been a tough outing here thus far.
Yeah, what if they had like added in a Reinhardt instead of the Winston, right? Generally, you see like a Zarya Reinhardt getting that synergy where they're able to rotate out their ultimates. Might have just given them a little bit more staying power there, but it remains to be seen.
Well, they certainly need to try something at this point because trying to match dive for dive has not exactly worked out in their favor, but oftentimes teams don't have a second resort. If you scrim like this all week long and this is what you do, it's kind of tough to pull out a different option within a match if you simply don't have it. But that is pretty rough there for Vivi's, where you think this is going to be a good fight, we're going to start out on the right note. No, Zenyatta's going to take down your Tracer to open things up, and you're already having to concede ground and very likely losing the fight outright. But look at that. One good Zenyatta kill deserves another, and Vivi's is able to keep some hope alive here, even as they don't have positioning on the point.
Yeah, and crucially, Singularity weren't able to capitalize on Lulsish. He was actually dropped down about 20-30 HP, got himself to a mega health pack, and now he's back into the fight. But here's the tactical visor coming up from Montrusser, buys the first kill onto Ellibo. Now he's on the HUD, he gets the flank. That's a second kill going on down, and immediately Vivi's just jump off the point. They know this fight's over.
The cool thing here for Monde and how he's been handling the tac visors is that he hasn't really been trying to pull fights over on his own. He hasn't been opening with it. It's more so he's using it as the fight is breaking down and there's less options coming in to actually deal with it. And he's been able to do that because the rest of his team has been performing at such a high level that the pressure isn't on him to get those early kills. Now that being said, Craigie falling early on. Now there's pressure on Mande because he's going to be really one of the only sources of damage here, but with how many people going down early here, this might just be a very quick take from Vivi's.
Yeah, they can delay for a good amount. Not Oasis amounts, but there we go. Mumwadi finds the kill onto Lind, and now they are starting to run out of bodies. Our Singularity with Donnie going down. It's just a matter of time before they give up the point. So, Tracer, Winston gets in, Pulse Bomb comes out, Craggy gets the kill onto Zakor.
He does, and we've seen Craigie do this before, but this time it's going to be a little bit difficult. Tracer versus the world, not really going to happen this time around. So Vivi's gets on the board, and yet damage already being done here by Singularity, where it's 51% to 7. They need about 2 fights. We'll see how this next one goes. I think it's very much on Vivi's here to expend their ultimates and win this fight cleanly. If they somehow lose this next fight with the advantage they have, that will probably be the map for Singularity.
Yeah, they almost have Tactical Visor and Blade. Sound Barrier comes out on the side of Vivi's adventure. Lulsish jumping into the backline. It's going to be Henson with that Blade. Finds one kill, Primal Rage, pop by Lulsish, and he draws the entirety of Singularities to him.
Well, he might be drawing the attention to him, but it's Henzu in the back that is slicing his way right through. And that is going to be a clean team fight. Pretty much exactly what Vivi's needed in the situation. And now, here comes a real test where this fight is going to be a little bit more on even terms. This is Vivi's window to turn the entirety of this match around.
Yeah, Lin getting up towards that Transcendence. We've got the Tactical Visor once again from Montrusser. Nerf's even coming up on that Primal Rage, so this is a huge power spike so far for Singularity as Vivi's had just tied it up. We do have that Sound Barrier coming out on the side of Singularity. It's answered by that Transcendence.
Well, Transcendence comes in, but Singularity has had a much better opening here. They have ultimates in reserve to turn this back over. Here comes the Transcendence, and Monde once more coming in with the Tac Visor. And again, it's the cleanup Tac Visors we've been seeing for him that have been able to put Singularity on the right note. So this wasn't bad for Vivi's. It was a good strike. They were able to take the lead. Now things are somewhat evened up. This next fight probably will decide things here.
Yeah, that Transcendence was able to actually force out the Tactical Visor from Montrusser, so a little bit of a silver lining of Fox, already at 40% towards his next one. And yeah, Montrusser has been finding really good windows here, and his timing on these Tactical Visors have been great.
Well, the good thing here is he's not trying to make Tactical Visor work in situations where it can't work. He knows his limits and uses it to clean up fights more so than anything else. But here we go. Next fight underway. Singularity a little bit far up. Going to be pushed back by Vivi's here, but still very good help, but not so much anymore. It's the Madi out of nowhere on the flank. Gets his man, but gets immediately punished as Vivi's still applying the pressure. Coming back in. Tac Visor in reserve. And you want to talk about cleanup Tac Visors? LI might be able to do it here. We'll see.
We'll see as we do have the Primal Rage getting used by Lulsish, but Henzu finds the kill onto Lin, so Vivi's adventure really striking back, but Danny brings it right on back. Sound Barrier comes out for Vivi's adventure.
Well, the Sound Barrier is out, and now this Tac Visor has to be used sooner rather than later. They cannot afford to get pushed off this point, and you can't be stuck in this delay phase for too long either. It's very easy to lose the point even while winning the fight. So it's up to Vivi's right now to clean up Singularity, but again, a new Transcendence out for Singularity. They're not giving this up to that fight, and everyone is feeling the iris right now.
And that was crucial. That kept Nerf alive for now. He is about to fall, and Henzo coming in with the Blade. He's been doing this time and time again with his Genji, and now they're all just jumping onto Danny as Craggy does find the kill onto a Fox, but he's gonna get cleaned up, and now Vivi's adventure can breathe a small sigh of relief right now, but one last team fight. It's gonna come down to that.
Well, the sigh of relief might be very small indeed. They're definitely not at an edge going into this next fight. The big part is support ultimates here, where Singularity is going to be able to open up with the sound barrier. And for Vivi's, the question is, how well can they disengage? Unless they get an early puzzle. If they get that, all bets are off. But realistically, it's probably going to be barrier. There's the barrier, and now here comes Monday. Looking in with the tac visor, and it's Vivi's disengaging, and it's been a good disengage so far. They don't lose anyone up until the very end, but it just might not have been good enough as Craggy chases them down as they flee. And Singularity now, they're going to flip the point and very likely take the round and map.
Man, Europe has been absolutely stacked with amazing tracers so far. Craggy putting his name there in the hat. Now Nerf cleaning up Umwadi as the last final seconds are ticking down. We got a crucial sound barrier coming up from Zegor, but is it going to be enough?
Well, crucial is a little bit around its desperation sound barrier at best here, as just trying to keep the hope alive. He had no choice but to throw it down. But it buys enough time for the Primal Rage to come out here. So even though Singularity is working at an enormous advantage, Vivi's with a little bit of a last gasp towards the end, just not enough.
So already, Singularity having a much better start off in this series than they did last week up against Vivi's Adventure, where Vivi's Adventure were actually able to take Nepal here. And so now they're one map away from absolutely securing their spot in the top 8.
This is great for Singularity, and it's also, again, great for RIP if you're just sitting here on the sidelines watching going, I like what we're seeing here. You know, first you drop the ninjas, you're doing better. Now you're looking at the other games. Fate sort of smiling on them, but this has been tough for Vivi's here so far, where you think about what's at stake here and how close this group is. This is a case where if Vivi had any margin for error, it's effectively gone now.
Yeah, this is the RIP waiting room at this point, right?
It is. You know, and right now, and I'll have to look at the details. I was like trying to do some math there in the middle. But I believe that Vivi still has a chance. It would certainly help if they can pick up these 2 maps. It depends on how RIP does in their final match. But I want to talk about this one right here. Some key issues for Vivi's in this one. We talked a little bit about positioning, but I want to talk about ult economy. They have good impact with their ultimates. They know how to use their ultimates to win the fight right in front of them very often, but they use maybe too many. They're not thinking about what ults they need to win the map.
What I would say is that actually is indicative of just bad ult economy. Yeah. Like, the entire thing for ultimates is that you need to be able to use just enough to win the fight and not overcommit. So I'd actually say that they're able to win fights when they overextend and use too many ultimates, but that should be a given. You should be winning those fights. It would actually be a disaster